life is more than random events that happen to us from one day to the next. We're caught up in a story, one that God has been writing from the beginning of time. Stories of darkness and light, brokenness and redemption. They show us who He is and how much He loves us. They're the stories of our lives, and if we let Him, He'll use them for His glory. When I was a little boy, I can remember begging my grandfather to tell me stories about the war. He would pull down a box from the closet that had pictures and memorabilia from World War II. In my eyes, he was the bravest soldier that had ever lived, and his stories and pictures helped my adolescent mind try and imagine what he must have seen and experienced. That was a long time ago, and even back then, my grandfather was an old man. The number of World War II veterans still alive is diminishing every day, and it's important that we honor them and tell their stories. I recently had the privilege of meeting World War II and Korean veteran Floyd Brantley. At 96, he was kind enough to tell us some of his stories.
I was born in Nacogdoches, Texas, and back in the 1925, and I grew up in a home, a dysfunctional home. Later on, I came from a divorce home, and I had a lot of trouble, no father. My brother was killed in the Navy in 1942. And then, after 2 years after brother killed, I get notice, Mr. Brantley, you're going into the Navy and the war. And I went in, I said, Mother, I hate to tell you this, but I gotta go to war. She says, son, I lost one son, and I'm hoping and praying that you'll be able to finish high school. None of my kids have. And I said, well, maybe someday.
After World War II, Mr. Brantley also served in the Korean War in the United States Air Force. He shared an amazing story of caring for a wounded Korean boy who had learned some songs from a Christian missionary from his village. They found common ground in a song of their faith.
As I was talking to him, he said, let's sing Christian song. And at that moment, I said, what can we sing? And I started, Amazing Grace, yes. And he sung Amazing Grace. He sung in his language, and I was singing, you know. He was 16, I was 18. And then everything got quiet, and the whole ward kept hearing this.
Mr. Brantley found other Christian brothers that he served with, and together they found ways to worship and study God's Word.
Wherever you go in the world, Army, Navy, group, you're going to find other Christians. And you get together, and in the Navy, as other Christians, we enjoy Bible study, pray together. And we have to, it may be in the bottom of the hold of the ship. It may be underneath the coconut tree. It may be in the chapel.
It was clear that Mr. Brantley's faith in Jesus was much more important to him than his stories of his service in the military.
I knew in the past what I did. I look back and the wrong crowd I got into without a father, the things I did in Nacogdoches, Texas. Life itself, God created us. There's a plan, and you need to accept Him. But sin, the old nature sin, even before, but yet I knew I asked forgiveness, got to try to forget in the past and go forward.
To this day, this 96-year-old still rides his bike and loves to share with people the message of hope and life in Jesus.
When I talk to someone on campus, I'll say, have a good day, and thank you. They say, oh, you were. So I said, how you classified? Well, he's a sophomore, I'm a junior. I said, oh, but how are you classified in life? Are you a Christian or non-Christian?
Later in life, Mr. Brantley loved taking mission trips around the world to places like Russia and China, where he handed out Bibles and shared his faith.
I was on the street to Moscow giving out New Testament and witnessed through a translator. And I gave this old man, I said, oh, he had a beard, he may be in the 80s. I sat down with him and gave him God's words. And tears start coming down his face, crying. So I asked the translator, why is he crying? He said, no one in his whole life ever given him a gift.
Life moves at a little slower pace now, and a few years ago his wife Elizabeth passed away after 66 years of marriage. But if you have the privilege of spending time with Floyd Brantley, I'm confident he'll tell you some amazing stories and even give you some great advice.
It's not the years that live in this life, but it's the life that you live with those years. As you go to the cemetery, and there are two important dates: the day you were born and your day died. But the more important is the empty space in between. That's your life.